Hey guys, Jay here, and this is the last video for Simulacrum AFK testing before the league start. I am finally alone with Kosis here after a few run in wave 30. Well, there's a couple of things that I want to mention first. So in the previous video, not a lot, but there are some people still complaining about the fact that I am wearing a Mage Blood. Well, I have to stress that the Mage Blood doesn't do any extra damage at all. All the flasks are defensive. No damage at all. What I care about here is just to test the damage of the setup, because I know for a fact that I can be tanky enough. And in fact, I didn't realize until very recently, before this particular run actually, that in the previous record I didn't even allocate any ascendancy point after I click the reset the whole tree in standard and I redo the whole tree, right? So I didn't have the ascendancy for the whole previous showcase video basically. I just want to say that tankiness is not the problem here. We are going to be much tankier next league. What I want to test out here is, are we going to deal enough damage? There's a couple of things that I cannot really get right here, right now. I try to find like the tattoo and stuff like that, but I could not really buy them. Maybe because it was transferred, it will be transferred back from the current the Necropolis League, and people who owns those tattoo are not interested or not trading in the game, so they don't even list them up. So it's super hard to actually buy tattoos. Remember that we can get additional 120% life from all the intelligent nodes here. We don't need any of them because we are using Supreme Ostentation, and also we can have a just a random one-pointer Elegant Hubris for additional 80% life. You can probably get like 80% life, 80% life, 80% life, 80% damage somewhere here, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Potentially 10 places we can have extra damage that we can get from the Timeless Jewel area. So we can have a lot more damage. The gear again is absolutely dog shit in terms of damage. Defensively, it is obviously good because I am using like broken stuff. But let me just remove this shit. But offensively, there's a lot to improve. I don't even think we will need this one. Let me see if... Okay, so it has the vigor. Let me actually just remove the Defiance of Destiny. I mean, we should still be more than fine. The recovery is way more than enough, right? So don't worry about Defiance of Destiny. In fact, let me just remove these 3 flasks. The only flask that I'm having right now here for is just for chaos resistant. Okay, I do freaking have problems with... Okay, right now I have enough resistance. Allow me to use 1 flask here because it does have 30% resistances. So normally it's going to be a bismuth flask with like charges gain on hit or something. The point is, defensively, I can assure you it is going to be okay. Because I already tested it before. I played this build. Oh, so Defiance of Destiny is needed right there, guys. But a small Defiance of Destiny is going to be okay, right? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Right? I am pushing a little bit too far, but anyway, Mage Blood is not a problem. We are going to have a life belt, for example. You will be able to potentially... These 2 items, first one, this one is very expensive, no doubt. This one is going to probably be expensive and like on very high demand as well, so probably is going to be somewhat expensive. We can get a lot more life here, We don't even need this boots. I don't use endurance charges on anything. I don't consume them, and I gain them, as you can see here. The The duration doesn't even flinch for 1 second, almost. So we are going to have like 6k, 7k life if we keep the exact same setup to the next league. Simply because of the life buff to the whole rare items as a whole, right? So we are going to be tankier. Okay, so that is the ranting part out of the way. Next part, what I want to test here is, you probably can notice I have no auras. I am going blood magic. The reason why I decided to try blood magic again is because we are potentially having to use the Wraith Lord as the helmet. It is obviously the best in slot for this one in particular, just because it is 4 extra Spectre. Again, I am having 7. I should have 8. Because 4 from here, 3 from the gem, right? And then 1 from this node over here. But apparently I only have a total of 7, which is kind of stupid, right? But hey, it is what it is. I am lazy to find out the corpse. Well, without auras we are fine, and if we use blood magic, you can use the determination with eternal blessing, right? So if I turn it on, I have it here. If this one is not too expensive next league, well, you can also use this for 1 additional endurance charges. So this is going to be super good. The price is concerning though. However, it's not the only choice. We can potentially use the new Flesh and Stone, which is not going to be like linked to any Sublime Vision, so you don't need to worry about the prices. It literally just is the gem, so you can potentially just use that for some reduced damage to enemies in the aura. And then also, if the Sublime Vision for Vitality is cheap, you can also use Vitality. It is some extra regen, which is very good for the case of not having Defiant Destiny or using a nerfed version of Defiant Destiny. And Sublime Vision there, if you have it, it will give you extra 10% regen on top of that. 10% of max health regen is going to be much stronger next league because the life is going to be higher. Yeah, just like that. So there's a lot of things that you can do. None of them are actually mandatory, so a lot of options to choose from. The change here basically free up the life tap support from all of the setup that we have to. Right now I am having Frostblade, Determination, Eternal Blessing. I am having this stupid linked over here just because I saw a Miracle's video on he's using Detonate Dead of Scavenging. I think this will be very okay for map, but in the Simulacrum it doesn't really help much so far. As far as I see, it doesn't really do anything, because the situation where you really need it is when you are like this, alone, no monsters nearby, and you kind of don't have any corpses to explode. So this whole setup is gonna be removed. The other setup is good though. Cast when stun, linked to Wave of Conviction, obviously for the resistances thing, and combustion. So we now have the elemental resistances from exposure, and then also we have combustion to reduce it even further. We also have flammability this time. I am testing if we can have a race zombie of falling, just to cheat the Wraith Lord a little bit, but apparently a falling zombie is still a zombie, so this is not doing anything at all. So we are having 5 gem slot unused over here. Maybe because we have a lot of life, we can just potentially fit in like a 4-lane or even 5-lane Righteous Fire setup in this. There is a... Let me actually find it. I'm watching a podcast, by the way. But let me actually find this one. POE Worm Sign... Worm Skill... Is it a Worm Sign? Yeah, Worm Sign, Worm Skill. This particular glove will provide us with two things. First of all, concentrated effect, which if we want to, for example, link like a Righteous Fire into it, it is some extra damage. For this build, Righteous Fire, we don't need the AoE for it anyway, so just some extra damage to speed up the process because we are reducing the resistances to fire resistances of enemy anyway. So this is going to be good. Next one, gain Rampage at maximum endurance charge. This is going to be super helpful on like mapping, and even in Simulacrum sometimes just the explosions stuff from the Rampage is going to help us with like faster clearing basically. So this is going to be a very good budget version if it is going to, if nobody else is going to use it. I think it might have some use from other builds as well, because reduced mana cost is actually an okay stat, and Rampage is good, so maybe some build will use it. I don't think so, but this is a good candidate for this slot, for the glove, right? And there is another thing I forget here. Okay, so lastly, last video I am using the element of focus in this slot. Right now it is Feeding Frenzy. Most of the time here is going to be Feeding Frenzy. Right now I want to demonstrate a little bit in terms of like bossing damage. You want to remove Feeding Frenzy and you have this. And what this gives you is the Signal Prey here. So Predator, Signal Prey, it is just going to make your minion deals a lot more damage. And so for situation like this, if you need like single target, you can use it. However, normally when mapping, or just for normal clear, I guess, this is still going to be a little bit faster. For mapping, if you get in Feeding Frenzy, the behavior of your Spectre, they are going to continuously run forward ahead of you. They are going to try to just be very aggressive, basically. That is actually super good quality of life. So I have been using this one for the whole duration. But if you really are struggling with damage, for example, in this case, right, it is a very good resemble of a situation where we did not have an optimal damage setup, and so we need more damage. And so just swapping in the Predator support here, it is level 1 by the way, just swap in a Predator support here, and then this thing lasts for 8 seconds, is an instant cast, so technically you can't even freaking numlock it, right? So yeah, you can just numlock it and then hover your mouse button on the boss or something like that. Yeah, so as you can see, on wave 30, it is a very long fight with this current setup. However, it's not something to worry about because there's a lot more of damage that we can actually get. Again, Simulacrum AFKing is not a league starter friendly setup. We can do it to some degree in a league start environment, and probably Chieftain is going to be better because the explosion is going to just carry you through early on. But yeah, eventually when we have like better gear, when we have like min-max setup, I think this one just edge out a little bit. Maybe I can be wrong there. Maybe just go for Chieftain and get the explosion and just basically speed up the clear and sometimes just explode randomly the damage on the bosses. That's going to be good enough. I don't know. By the way, this setup is going to be for Chieftain. You can also use this setup, by the way, but you do not need the Wraith Lord. The reason why is you can just use a normal helmet. If you are a Chieftain, I would recommend you to link a like ignite focus setup on the Spectre here. So when it explodes, it deals fire damage, it will ignite. The damage that is going to kill monster most of the time is going to be ignite damage, and unless you don't know if the monster is killed by damage over time from the minion, it is counting as the character killing the actual enemy, and so you can explode on it. So if the minion is killing ignite, if the enemy die from ignite, you can still explode the corpse, right? So yeah, that is everything I want to mention in this video today, right? Stay tuned for more content. I'm not sure if I'm going to post anything more until the league start. There's a couple of stuff that need to prepare. Maybe, yes, tomorrow. Tomorrow I am going to have a podcast on Faded with Castmaster OP, Balormage, and Snoobay. That's super exciting for me, by the way. It is going to be 6 in the morning for me, right? But it's nothing. But stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for more content in the channel as well. So until next time, peace. By the way, remember, this is not a actual good showcase of the damage, by the way. I'm just trying to prove a point here. Not min-max, very, very scuff. Peace. Like and subscribe.